What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope this video finds you well and healthy. So I thought I would take a moment today and talk about my new favorite piece of tech, my mini drone, and why I think for those of us that like filming our adventures, this is going to become our new favorite piece of tech. So I got this drone a few days ago, and from my testing, I have to say that this is a pretty amazing piece of tech. For being only 249 grams, it fits in my pocket, the remote's really small, I can take it anywhere. So when I bought this drone, I knew that there were some limitations. At the time, there was a fixed exposure. You could set it every now and then to lock the exposure in place, but you couldn't adjust your shutter speed. But as of this last week, we got a new firmware update, so we can actually manually adjust our shutter speed. So I can actually crank it down to 1/50th, and I'm gonna get some ND filters to go on the front of this so that I can keep that frame rate down and keep my videos really nicely exposed. Another nice thing about this, I've said it before, is its size. We don't have much room when it comes to hiking all of our gear back into the forest, so having something nice and small that can get some cinematic footage is a big plus. The remote's pretty awesome also. So I love anything that transforms. I was a Transformer kid, and this is pretty awesome. It opens right up. You mount your phone into it, as you guys have probably seen, and there you go. So I have to say, I was kind of skeptical when I bought this drone. I mean, it's not very big, the remote's pretty small, and you have to hook your phone up to it. And having kids, I've flown a lot of cheap drones, and they were just hard to fly, they crashed really easy, so I was really wondering, had I just dumped almost $500 into something that I'm gonna break the next day. But when I actually went out and flew this, in my yard, where it's not really very big, and a lot of people would probably say that's not the best place to fly it on the first time, but oh well. It flies amazing. It takes off, it hovers right in place, right off the ground, and you're good to go. If you've ever played a video game, the controls are very, very similar, not only in design, but they're very intuitive. But there are a few things that I wanted to talk about that I'm kind of like, you could have designed it better, DJI. First thing is the gimbal cover. This gimbal cover can be a pain in the butt to put it back on. It has small etches in there that fit the side of the gimbal to hold it in place to keep it from shaking when I do this, which is great. Except that it won't fit on unless you get it perfectly lined up. If you're trying to put your gimbal or your drone away fast, that doesn't really help. Another thing that I noticed was a small amount of lag in the live feed. Now, it didn't show up in the video, but when I was flying this at its full speed across a field, I could see a small amount of lag in the video, very reminiscent of the DJI Osmo. Also, when I flew it straight up at very high speeds with the gimbal pointed down, I could see a small lag in the video. Now, this wouldn't be such a big deal if it wasn't for the fact that I was trying to get a nice smooth pan while going up, and that little tiny lag made me question whether I got a smooth movement or not. I've heard that that also might be the fact that my iPhone is an iPhone 8, so it's slightly on the older side, and I was told that maybe by getting a newer phone that might help. It's also a really good ploy to get people to buy new phones, but we'll see. Another thing that I'm not actually a big fan of is how this holds the phone. So if you guys can see, I can get my phone in there and it'll hold it well enough, but it doesn't hold it snug. It doesn't hold it the way that I'd really want this to hold it. So I'm probably going to invest in one of the aftermarket holders that it's a little plate that goes right here and it holds your phone up above it. We'll see. It hasn't fallen out yet, but I don't like having my phone wiggly on the controller. I really wish that their really expensive nice controller would work on this drone, because then maybe down the line I'd buy that and it would cover more of their drone fleet. One other thing that I'm kind of wondering why they didn't design it a little better, you see these arms in the front. There are no arms in the back. They're just these little tail pieces here for when you set it on the ground. Now if I try to launch it right out here in the grass, scare that squirrel, the back blades are going to touch the grass and it's going to sense that and not take off. They could have. Now, I don't know. It's 249 grams, so they had to cut some weight. But I think they could have made these legs a little bit longer so that it could set down on a field a little bit easier. Now, to get around that, I just took a piece of plexiglass from an old monitor, and I can set that down. I've also been getting good with hand launching, but that is kind of nerve-wracking to people to have all these blades spinning around their hands, so a little launch pad might be best for you. So in the time since I got this footage, my son and I have gone down to one of our favorite prospecting spots to do a little bit of panning, exploring, and to fly the drone. And I wanted to fill you in on something that I noticed down there that I hadn't noticed in any of my testing yet, and I really haven't seen in any other YouTube videos about the drone. So on the bottom of this drone, it's got two sensors. Now on the bigger drones, they have sensors all the way around them, but on this one, it's only got sensors on the bottom. Now when I flew this over the ground, it stays in place, it doesn't really move, it really likes to hover. But as soon as I put it out over the water, this drone would track upwards and back ever so slightly. Which, after my initial freak out, when I brought the drone back, sent it back over the water, I actually started learning how to use that. But as an inexperienced drone pilot, it was pretty new, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit, and I'm glad I didn't lose my drone or impact anything like that. So I thought I would just take a quick moment and tell you guys about that. All right, back to the video. So my first impressions are that this is a pretty awesome drone, and if you're like me and you like filming places that you go, you like making content, and you've been wanting to get that extra cinematic footage in your videos and you don't want to have to pay somebody to get that drone footage, then yes, absolutely go out, get the DJI Mini. I mean, why would you spend your money on any other kind of drone in that price range? Now that we can adjust our shutter speed and throw an ND filter on there on a bright day, it's everything we need for cinematic footage. I don't know why you would want to get the Mavic Pro unless you were going really far out and you were wanting that extra range, then yes, go with the larger drone. But if you're like me and you're just wanting to get some footage when you're out for a day and you want to give it just that little bit of extra, then this is perfect. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me today. I know this wasn't a video where I'm getting gold, but I enjoy showing the tech that I'm using and some of the stuff that I'm going to be using this summer and how I make these videos. So if you like the video, give it a like, subscribe down below, maybe check out one of my older channels. I hope everybody stays healthy, and until next time, bye.